Section 230.3 of the 2021 International Residential Code, or IRC, addresses specific requirements for drainage and vent piping in multi-dwelling buildings. The core principle of this section is to prevent drainage and vent piping serving one dwelling unit from passing through any other dwelling unit. However, there is an exception to this rule. The exception is that such piping is allowed if it is installed in a concealed space or further out space that is not accessible to the occupants of the other dwelling unit. The primary reason for this code provision is to ensure that the drainage and vent piping for one dwelling unit does not create a nuisance or health hazard for the occupants of other dwelling units. This protection is achieved by restricting the passage of piping between dwelling units, thereby minimizing the potential for problems. The intention of this code is to prevent the spread of odors. Drainage and vent systems carry waste and gases, which can produce unpleasant odors. If these systems are not properly isolated, odors can seep into other dwelling units, causing discomfort and potential health concerns for the residents. Another intention is to prevent the spread of noise. Drainage and vent systems can generate noise as water and waste flow through them. By preventing piping from passing through other dwelling units, the code helps to minimize the transmission of noise, ensuring a quieter living environment for all occupants. The last intention is to prevent other disturbances. Aside from odors and noise, drainage and vent systems can cause other disturbances, such as leaks or backups. By isolating these systems, the code reduces the risk of such issues affecting multiple dwelling units. The exception to this rule, allowing piping in concealed or further out spaces, recognizes that there are situations where it may be necessary or more practical to run piping through such areas. However, this exception is carefully worded to ensure that the piping remains inaccessible to the occupants of other dwelling units, thus maintaining the intended level of protection. Concealed spaces typically refer to areas such as attics, crawl spaces, or wall cavities. These areas are not intended for regular access by occupants, and any piping installed in these spaces is generally out of sight and out of reach. Furred-out spaces are created by adding a layer of framing to an existing wall or ceiling, creating a cavity that can be used to conceal piping or other utilities. Again, the key is that these spaces are not accessible to the occupants of other dwelling units. In practical terms, this code requirement means that builders and plumbers must carefully plan the layout of drainage and vent systems in multi-dwelling buildings. They must ensure that each dwelling unit has its own independent system, or that any shared systems are installed in accordance with the exception. This may involve running piping through common areas, such as hallways or service chases, or utilizing concealed spaces as described above. Inspectors are responsible for verifying compliance with this code during the construction process. They will check to ensure that drainage and vent piping is properly installed and that it does not violate the restrictions outlined in Section 230.3 of the IRC. Violations of this code can result in fines, delays in construction, and the need for costly repairs. Therefore, it is essential for builders and plumbers to be familiar with this requirement and to adhere to it carefully. In summary, Section 230.3 of the 2021 IRC plays a crucial role in protecting the health, safety, and comfort of occupants in multi-dwelling buildings. By preventing drainage and vent piping from passing through other dwelling units, the code minimizes the risk of odors, noise, and other disturbances. The exception for concealed or furred-out spaces provides flexibility while still maintaining the intended level of protection. Builders, plumbers, and inspectors must all work together to ensure compliance with this code and to create a safe and healthy living environment for all residents. When dealing with electrical systems in buildings, different rules apply. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, addresses the installation of electrical services. According to Section 230.3 of the NEC, one dwelling unit service conductors cannot pass through the interior of another dwelling unit. This is to prevent electrical hazards and ensure that each dwelling unit has its own independent and safe electrical supply. This is similar to the plumbing code, but with different safety considerations. For example, If a 208-volt electrical panel in Unit A had a short and Unit B's wiring was run through it, it could cause a fire in Unit B. This is why each unit must have its own service.